What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Wrestling News Live 5. It has been a while, but we are back on the air bringing you another new episode. And this time, we're going to be talking about last night's Sunday night's WWE Elimination Chamber pay-per-view and the Raw that followed last night. So we're going to be talking about the Elimination Chamber and the Raw that followed. Um, I hope everybody has been doing well. Like I said, it has been a while, but we're going to try to bring you more content here on this channel very soon. We have some great content coming up, more New Japan ROH reviews. I'm going to be doing a list of the top 10 non WWE talent, where I list where I feel, in terms of value, from 1 to 10, the most valuable workers who are not WWE talent. And we also have more retro reviews and Wrestling is Life coming up. Oh, and of course, that bet that Nick the Greek and I have, where, well, a little bit of a spoiler, but I did not win the bet that we had surrounding Elimination Chamber. And now I have to sing an embarrassing song, an embarrassing wrestling song right here on this channel. That'll be the next show coming up. That'll probably be the next New Japan or ROH review that I do with Nick the Greek. We have WrestleMania 4 coming up with JR and much, much more. But without any further ado, let's get right to what we're here to talk about today, which is the WWE Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. I felt overall that this was a pretty decent pay-per-view. You definitely are starting to get the feel of that Mania season is upon us. And you definitely, I felt, got that from this pay-per-view. It started off a little bit slow, but I felt it got better as the night progressed. And overall, I felt like it was a pretty decent pay-per-view. It wasn't great, but it wasn't completely underwhelming as well. Probably by the second or third match, I started to feel like it was a little bit of a glorified Raw. Um, I, I think I even said to a friend of mine, this pay per view doesn't really feel like a pay per view. It just feels like a Raw. But that changed. That definitely changed. And it definitely did not feel like a glorified Raw. It felt like a pre-Mania Raw pay-per-view, which is I felt like they got the job done. So let's get into the matches right here. First on the pre-show, there was a tag match on the pre-show. Just looking for the results here. And that was Gallows and Anderson defeated the Miztourage. This was a pretty decent match. Gallows and Anderson are still over. And it wasn't a great match. It was pretty short. It was under 10 minutes. Was pretty impressed by Luke Gallows in this match. Didn't really notice Carl Anderson that much. There was a couple of comedy spots. Gallows had a couple of pretty stiff kicks. Other than that, it was decent. And of course, Gallows and Anderson won after Anderson performed the Magic Killer on Axel. Then going to the actual pay-per-view, it actually started with the Women's Elimination Chamber, which I was a little bit surprised by. But this chamber match was slow. This chamber match started off very, very slow. It really definitely took a while for it to get going. And it started with Bailey and DeVille. Rose came in next, and Rose and DeVille attacked Bailey. Banks was third. there was a spot where Rose tapped out to the bank statements. Mickey James was next, and then Bailey was in. That definitely was when the match started to pick up. Of course, Alexa Bliss was last, which it's not a very hard prediction, but it was what I predicted that Bliss would enter last. But there was a spot in the match where Alexa was trying to get away, and Sasha and Bailey were chasing after Alexa, and Alexa was climbing the side of the chamber, and Bailey and Sasha finally got to Alexa, and Sasha turned on Bailey, kicked um, kicked Bailey off of the chamber, and then uh, Sasha hit a very weak frog splash. I felt like this frog splash was just completely weak. Um, but Bliss won after hitting a top rope DDT to Banks, and Alexa Bliss retained her title. Overall, I felt like this was a little bit underwhelming, especially being the first elimination chamber, the first women's elimination chamber match. I felt like this one was a little bit underwhelming. So it definitely could have been a lot better. Next, we have Cesaro and Sheamus defending the Raw Tag Team Championships against Titus Worldwide. I was really impressed by Apollo in this match. I felt like he's just a big guy who moves like a cruiserweight, and it was just really impressed. Um, Other than that, Cesaro was okay in this match, but it ended with white noise and on Apollo, and the bar retains. Overall, this was a decent match. Of course, we would get a rematch the next night on Raw, which would be a 2 out of 3 falls match. I'm a little tired of these two teams going at it. This is the Bar's second feud after having a long feud with Rollins and whoever Rollins was teaming with. The reason I say that is because, well, he was teaming with Ambrose and this feud was going on. Then he started teaming with um, Jason Jordan, and this feud continued. So this feud, so it's good to see the Bar feuding with someone else other than Rollins and whoever. And of course, now Jason Jordan is out and probably won't be making WrestleMania. Um, but overall, this match was just kind of eh. It was there. Again, a little bit underwhelming. So, two pretty underwhelming matches back to back. Especially, I expected more out of the women's chamber match, but now I kind of see why they opened with it. Um, Up until, like I said, up until the point where Bailey was in there, it was not very good. And this match was just there, other than Apollo just being really impressive and doing like standing moonsaults and stuff like that. And it was just Apollo's great. I definitely see big things out of Apollo. All right, so then we have Asuka versus Nia Jax, and if Nia Jax won, she would be added to the championship match at WrestleMania 34. Um, this match was okay. I again, obvious, figured Oscar was going to go over. Um, so predictable ending. The match was just okay. It ended with a roll-up pin after a attempted power bomb. After the match, Jax and Oscar, I'm sorry, Jax tackled Oscar through the barricade outside, which just looked absolutely brutal. The barricade just exploded, um, and it looked like a really brutal spear. It kind of reminded me of the spear that Goldberg performed on Brock Lesnar. 2 WrestleManias ago, or was it last year? I think it was 2 WrestleManias ago, um, where it was through the barricade on the outside. It kind of reminded me that this might have looked even more brutal because, well, to me, it looked even more brutal because the barricade just exploded, as I said, and Nia just destroyed Asuka on the outside. So Asuka wins, but Nia gets her heat, and that will continue. Fourth match, Woken Matt Hardy taking on Bray Wyatt. This was a interesting match because the way it started off was with Bray in the ring and with Matt's voice over the PA, and Bray just trying to figure out uh, where Matt was, and Matt singing "You will be deleted." What was it? You will be made obsolete, and the crowd would respond with "obsolete," and it was really cool. I felt like they could have kept that going and maybe have made that the theme of the match. That Bray doesn't know where Matt is, but eventually Matt just came out from under the ring and the match started, and this match was just again, just another match that was just it was just there. um and honestly, after Matt came out and the actual match started, I kind of lost interest in this one a bit, um because, well, there was no gag anymore, and I think that the gag of uh Matt playing mind games on Bray was the theme of this match, or it could have been the theme of this match. So then we have and of course, Matt won by hitting the Twist of Fate on Bray, which didn't really understand why he still uses the Twist of Fate. That was a move that he used when he was part of Hardy Boys. I feel like if he's going to be a new character, he should sort of change up his move set a bit. But he's been doing the Twist of Fate for a long time, so there it is. All right, so then we have the contract signing of Ronda Rousey. Um, in the ring is Raw General Manager Kurt Angle, Stephanie McMahon, and Triple H. And Rousey comes out, and Triple H says there's no stipulation. She didn't want any special treatment, but she will be at WrestleMania 34 competing. Angle slips up and says WrestleMania. He talks about WrestleMania 31, the incident where Rousey put Stephanie in like I guess you can call it like an armbar or whatever it was, and he slips up and accidentally says WrestleMania 21. So he says WrestleMania 21. I mean WrestleMania 31, and for a second it's kind of like, wait, what, Kurt? WrestleMania 21 was like 13 years ago. Why would you say WrestleMania 21? So Kurt again just kind of slipping up there, and not the first time that Kurt has messed up his lines. So not very impressed there by Kurt, but um, basically Kurt goes on to say that Triple H and Stephanie are now glad that they owned Ronda Rousey, and basically they're going to manipulate her, and says something like, "Didn't you say, hey Stephanie? Didn't you say 3 years in the making? Now we own the bitch?" And of course Rousey gets upset, and Triple H says, "All right, let's get Kurt out of here. He had the flu and he's relapsing. He's having a relapse. So let's get Kurt out." So Triple H goes to get Kurt out of the ring, and then Angle says, "Stephanie, weren't you telling me in your office that Rousey's has been and you could take her?" So Triple H gets back in the ring. No, yeah, I'm sorry. Triple H gets back in the ring. Rousey gets in Steph's face. Triple H tries to break it up, and Triple H gets put through a table by Ronda Rousey, which was kind of a surprising turn of events there. I would think that Stephanie would take the bump, not Trips, and it was interesting. I definitely liked the segment. Up until this point, I felt like the pay-per-view was a little bit stale. So this was definitely the first thing that I thoroughly enjoyed, was this Ronda Rousey segment. Um, I really liked the segment. And then Stephanie slaps Ronda Rousey and basically tells her to play by the rules that are set by WWE. Rousey does not retaliate. I felt like the segment would have been even better if Rousey retaliated, but she did not get to slap Steph back. But she did put Triple H to the table, and Triple H really sold it. So I was definitely very impressed by that. Rousey then signs the contract, and Rousey throws it on the still selling Triple H, who was still down. Um, and then we have the main event. Yeah, the main event already, which was the first ever 7-man Elimination Chamber match. The victor would be the #1 contender against Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania. The match started with 3 men. The match started with Miz, Seth Rollins, and Finn Balor. Cena was in next, followed by Roman Reigns, followed by Braun Strowman. Miz was eliminated first when Strowman hit a running power slam on Miz. Elias was in last, which we knew would happen because he won the right on a earlier episode of Raw. Strowman then eliminated Elias, Cena, and Balor. Balor turned on Roman, which was kind of like, I don't know, I guess, damn it, D'Lo, because we saw that spot earlier in the night with Sasha and Bailey. So it was kind of like, okay, Rollins and Reigns were working together to get Strowman out. Actually, there was a spot earlier where everyone ganged up on Strowman, and Strowman just went and got everyone off, and everyone just like exploded off of Strowman. That was really cool. And then Reigns and Rollins were working together to get Strowman out, and like a damn fool, yes, I love you, Seth Rollins, but like a damn fool, you turn on Roman. Why would he turn on Roman when Strowman is still in the match? So this to me didn't make any sense. I felt like they should have waited to get Strowman out and have the final 2 be Reigns and Rollins. See, when I talk about there not being a lot of psychology in WWE anymore, this is kind of the kind of thing I'm talking about. So yeah, to me, it didn't make any sense that they would eliminate that Rollins would turn on Reigns while Braun was still in the match. So Strowman basically eliminates everyone, coming down to Strowman and Reigns. Basically, Strowman eliminates everyone except for Reigns, so Strowman and Reigns are the final 2. Reigns hits a Superman punch and 2 spears on Strowman. 1, 2, 3, right in the middle, just like that. And Roman Reigns is going to WrestleMania, and he has earned a chance to face the Universal Champion Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Overall, I felt like this was a very good match. It was definitely better than the Women's Chamber match, that's for sure. It was a bit longer. I think it was about 10 or so minutes longer than the Women's Elimination Chamber match. It had a lot better spots. The action I felt like it was a lot better paced. The only spot in the Women's Chamber match I really popped for was Sasha turning on Bailey. Alexa cut a really good promo after winning and retaining, where she says, this is for all of you, and I couldn't have done this without all of you. And this is just to show you that none of you will ever be as great as me. And Alexa definitely reeled us in there and got us believing that she was going to be a babyface. Sasha was crying on the outside, which didn't really make sense since she was a heel, or kind of turned heel at that point. So that to me didn't really make sense because they should have gone full heel with Sasha at that point, I feel. Um, and yeah, other than that, that was Elimination Chamber. The men's match and the Ronda Rousey segment were really the only things I really enjoyed from this pay per view. Other than that, it was just a glorified Raw. Gallows and Anderson versus Mitch Raj was okay. I already gave my opinion on the women's chamber match. The only really good part about the Bar versus Titus Worldwide was Apollo. The only good part about Asuka and Nia Jax was what happened after the match, which was Nia putting Asuka through the barrier. Um, Woken, Matt Hardy, and Bray Wyatt was just there. They should have, kept the mind games going. Mind games. And the really only enjoyable match was the men's elimination chamber match. Overall, I have to say that this was a B. I'm going to be kind and give it a B minus. I know that some of you might think that that's a little bit high, especially me being so critical of this pay per view. But yeah, I think a B minus is pretty fair to give this pay per view. It wasn't overwhelming, but it wasn't underwhelming. It was just kind of there. And as I mentioned, we kind of get the road to WrestleMania. What didn't make sense to me, other than Rollins turning on Reigns while Strowman was still in the match, was the fact that they didn't have Braun win the whole thing. Because I felt like if Strowman had eliminated everyone, including Roman, and won the match, that would have been a really good story going into WrestleMania. It would have been a really good story of, I eliminated 6 men, 6 other men, Brock Lesnar, and you're just one man. So what makes you think that I won't eliminate you and take your Universal Championship? So I felt like that was a mistake on WWE's part, but of course they went with Roman. I really have no problem with Roman winning, other than the fact that I lost the bet. And yes, now I have to sing an embarrassing song on this channel, and I cannot wait to find out what that is going to be. So yeah, that is pretty much the Elimination Chamber pay per view. Um, I'm okay with Roman winning. I'm not okay with losing the bet, but I'm okay with Roman winning. Um, but I felt like it was a missed opportunity. They should have gone all the way with Strowman. But as someone said, they it just seems like they don't have any faith in Braun. They don't want to pull the trigger on Braun. Now, Roman and Lesnar at WrestleMania is a money match, so I get that. You want to go with a match that is a money match, and I definitely feel like this match could be a money match, but um, again, just missed opportunity. Um, they should have pulled the trigger with Strowman, but again, it's gonna be Roman all day. He's Cena 2.0, and we're gonna get a lot more Roman when Cena is gone. Who knows whenever that's going to be? It could be soon. Who knows? The way that things are going. On Raw Talk, after the pay per view was over, we had Raw Talk, and Cena basically said that he's going to have to find a new path to WrestleMania if he can find one, and his path to WrestleMania might be over. So, um, who knows? This could be it for John Cena. But moving on to Raw the next night. This was a pretty decent Raw. It started with Mickie James accompanying the Raw Women's Champion Alexa Bliss to the ring. And Bliss cut a promo on everyone uh, who was in the chamber match. Mickie was just kind of standing there like, why am I here? I'm a babyface, and Bliss is a heel, so what am I what am I doing with this woman? But she backed Bliss up and said that she learned a lot from Mickie James being a 6-time champion. Bliss then proceeded to run down the women that she defeated, then turned her attention to Asuka. Then Asuka came out, and this was kind of confusing. Alexis said that Nia Jax was really impressive against Asuka in that match at Elimination Chamber, which, yeah, she was. Okay. But Alexis said that Nia Jax deserves a spot, that she should be going to WrestleMania, which kind of confused me because why would Alexa want one more person in the match? So that confused me. But then Nia Jax came out and continued rather to beat up on Asuka. All right, so then that leads to a 6-women match: Sasha Banks, Bayley, and Asuka versus Nia Jax, Mickie, and Alexa Bliss. This was a pretty decent match. Didn't really make sense why Sasha and Bayley would still be would still agree to team with Sasha. But there was a point where Bayley and Asuka just kind of turned their backs on Sasha, and there was a big suplex where Bliss was put down, and Bayley broke up the tag. Banks continues to fight back. Asuka explodes into the match and goes at it with Bayley. Eventually, Asuka taps out Mickie, which I was not surprised that Mickie was the one to tap out during this match, because obviously they're not going to tap out Alexa. And it ended with Bayley standing over Banks on the outside. Overall, this match was just okay. They protect Alexa, and this match was just okay. All right. So moving on, John Cena comes out and says that last night he failed, and he takes responsibility for his failures and everything like that, and blah blah blah. Cena promo, Cena promo, Cena promo. Failure made him who he is today. And this was just pretty much like a typical Cena promo. And he says that either you can stay down or you can get up and fight. And he says, I'm going to do something that's never been done before, or I'm going to do something that should have been done a long time ago. And he puts out a WrestleMania challenge to The Undertaker. Yes, that's right. Cena has challenged The Undertaker to a match at WrestleMania. The fans chant yes, and that this match has never happened. But this match is also not happening because he was told that this match is not going to happen. So Cena then says that he's going to go to SmackDown Live, and he's going to hopefully go through SmackDown to earn a spot at WrestleMania. This was a pretty decent promo. It was kind of, like I said, very typical Cena promo. I would have liked if they teased more of a heel turn for Cena. But the Undertaker reveal was cool, just to have it taken back. So we'll see what happens when Cena shows up at SmackDown Live, and we'll see if John Cena can find a way through SmackDown to get a way to compete at WrestleMania. I felt like they shouldn't have teased the Undertaker thing only to tell us that's not going to happen. But say la vie. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Only 6 weeks to WrestleMania. That's one criticism I have, is that there's only 6 weeks to WrestleMania, and we really don't know who is going to be facing who at WrestleMania yet. There's only a couple of matches that are written in stone right now, and a lot of other people don't have a path to WrestleMania. Next was Bray Wyatt versus Heath Slater. This match was pretty much forgettable. It was pretty much an attack and a beat down rather. And then after, Bray cut a promo saying that him and Hardy are going to face each other again, and that this war is not over. Don't really want to see Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy again. We just saw that match at Elimination Chamber. We saw it on Raw 25, and we saw them face off against each other in the Rumble match. So really don't want to see Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy again. All right, so next we have Seth Rollins versus The Miz. Miz comes out with the Miztourage and says that he doesn't have an opponent for WrestleMania, and that he should have a match for WrestleMania. And so he had a meeting with Raw General Manager Kurt Angle, and basically Kurt Angle told him that who he faces tonight may be or may determine who he faces at WrestleMania. That brings out Seth Rollins, and the two have what I think was a very good match. Rollins hit a dive on the Miztourage, which was just absolutely awesome. And then he hit another dive on all three members of Miztourage, including Miz and the Miztourage, I should say. Then Rollins hit an absolutely sick frog splash. Yes, Sasha, this is how you do it. It's funny because I'm seeing a lot of lines now between Rollins and Sasha Banks. First, Sasha turns on Bayley and then hits a frog splash. And then Rollins turns on Reigns, and then the next night hits a frog splash. So, Seth Rollins, are you trying to be the male Sasha Banks? I really hope not. I do not like Sasha Banks. So then Rollins hits probably the most impressive frog splash I've seen in my entire life. Sorry, Eddie. Where Miz, he was almost on the completely other side of the ring. So then Rollins gets the 1, 2, 3 on Miz. Finn Balor then comes down. And now Finn Balor is going to take on The Miz. So Miz is beaten down. So, of course, Miztourage gets in the ring and jumps Balor. That brings Good Brothers, Gallows and Anderson, down to make the save. And they get rid of Miztourage. Kurt Angle then appears on the screen and announces that the two teams at ringside and said, I'm sorry, he ejects the two teams at ringside. So he gets rid of Good Brothers and Miztourage and announces that if there is no winner between Miz and Balor, that Miz will not go on to WrestleMania. So eventually, Balor gets a win over the Miz. I felt like this entire segment was a bit overbooked, but was still very good. I really liked Balor coming down and surprising us after Rollins gets a win on the Miz. So Miz jobs out twice in the same night. Wow. Being the IC champion, that was kind of like wow. Um, Especially after cutting a promo saying that he carries Raw on his back and that he's carried Raw for almost a year, and the IC title is made relevant again, and blah blah blah. Really good promo by the Miz. Really good match. Really impressed by Rollins and Balor in this match, and was also impressed by Miz as well. Um, so Miz jobs out twice. Really liked the run-ins and the save. Overall, I felt like this was probably, at least up until this point, the highlight of Raw. All right, so moving on, we have Roman Reigns coming out, and the reason why I said up to this point it was a highlight of Raw because then this happened. Roman Reigns. Oh, by the way, they were teasing at the beginning of the show that Reigns and Lesnar would be face to face tonight. Um, so Roman Reigns comes out and cuts what was, in my opinion, the promo of his career. Yes, that is right. I'm starting to sound like a Roman Reigns fan now. Yes, this was the promo of Reigns' career. Forget the promo that he had against Cena, where Cena was saying, come on, you got to remember your lines and stuff like that. And that was an excellent promo, but I think that this promo was even better. So Roman comes out and says that he's going to be honest with everyone that Brock Lesnar was not there. Brock Lesnar was not in the building for Raw, and that Lesnar only shows up when the money is right. He credits Lesnar and Paul Heyman for being businessmen. Reigns says he was born into the business, but there's a fine line between business and respect. And basically says that Reigns is always there. Reigns rather says that he is always there. He always does his job. He always shows up. He works hard, and Lesnar. He basically buries Lesnar throughout this entire segment. And yeah, like I said, promo of Roman's career. Absolutely brilliant promo. Don't know if Lesnar being there was a shoot or not being there was a shoot. Um, some people are saying that it might have been a shoot, and that yes, they told Roman to go out there and say this, but Lesnar was actually not there, and Lesnar actually did no show. Don't know yet if this is true or not. I think it was a work, but it would be very disrespectful and in Roman's favor, by the way, if it is right. And again, what Roman said was scripted, but it would definitely get Roman over as a babyface. I feel if he buries Lesnar, well, like he did, bury Lesnar and announce that Lesnar was actually no showing, Raw. So yeah, I can't say how impressed I was with Roman. Can't say enough how impressed I was with Roman in the segment. Um, Reigns then says, "I don't respect Brock Lesnar, and I sure as hell don't fear the bitch." So yeah, this was just Roman just being natural, being himself. Again, it might have been scripted, but I felt like if it was a shoot, um, and Lesnar was really not there, and he really did no show, that there was some real emotion. But yeah, this was just an incredible promo of, like I said, promo of Roman's career. All right, so then we have the Bar versus Titus Worldwide in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Um, the Sheamus hit Titus with a bro kick for the first fall, and yeah, pretty much the Bar went 2 straight falls in this one, and not really sure what they're going to do with Titus Worldwide now. They pretty much jobbed them out to the Bar twice. After the match, um, the Bar cuts a promo saying, two men walk into the bar. What happens? Well, you know, um, it was just really corny jokes, and Sheamus's hair was like down over almost over his eyes, and at one point he says, "How's my hair?" So that was kind of funny. Other than that, it was just a really crappy promo. Two guys just joking around, and it was supposed to be funny, but just came off as being, to me, really stupid. And the match was boring. The Bar, as I mentioned, has gone over Titus Worldwide twice now. Once in a 2 out of 3 falls match, going 2 straight falls, and yeah, that was pretty much it. And then the Bar cutting a really crappy promo where they're supposed to be funny and just came off as jerks. Um, After the match or during the promo, the Bar um, says who's left for them to beat. And yeah, absolutely. Who is left for them to beat? I don't think they're really um, is. I mean, they've beaten pretty much everyone now on the Raw um, tag roster. So yeah, I mean, I agree, Sheamus. Who is left? All right, so don't really know what they're going to do with the Bar now. Don't really know what they're going to do with Titus Worldwide now. I don't know. I don't know if Titus Worldwide will recover from this. Hopefully they do, because I really like Apollo. All right, so next we have Braun Strowman versus Elias. This was a match I felt should have been saved for WrestleMania. Um, Elias, of course, starts in the ring and doing another one of his songs, which got over. And Elias goes for a fire extinguisher and sprays the fire extinguisher in Strowman's eyes. This prompted a DQ. No, I'm sorry. This is not prompted DQ. I'm sorry. So Elias goes for the fire extinguisher, which should have been a DQ. Sorry, I read my notes wrong. And Strowman grabs the fire extinguisher from Elias. They fight onto the entrance ramp, and eventually Elias runs up the entrance ramp with Strowman yelling, "I'm not finished with you." I didn't really feel like this got Strowman over. I definitely feel like they should have gotten Strowman over in a bigger way after losing the way that he did to Roman at Elimination Chamber. Even though Strowman had got heat on Roman after the pinfall at Elimination Chamber, which I forgot to mention earlier. After Strowman got pinned by Reigns, Strowman hit 2 straight slams, fireman carry slams. No, sorry, not fireman carry slams, but that slam that Strowman does. He hit 2 of those on Roman after the match was over. I forgot to mention that. Sorry, just going back to Elimination Chamber for a moment. Um, so yeah, this match was eh, it was all right. Uh, it ended with Strowman going over Elias, and it's possible that this match still will happen at WrestleMania because they have to do something with Strowman at Mania. So who knows? Maybe he'll take on Elias and keep this going. But Strowman deserves better. Strowman deserves better. Even though WWE stands for a walk with Elias, Strowman deserves better. All right. So next we have Ronda Rousey and the Authority. Of course, this was in response to Ronda Rousey putting Triple H through a table the night before at Elimination Chamber. Um, Ronda Rousey gets in the ring, and Triple H and Stephanie are also present. And Triple H basically says that, no, I'm sorry, Kurt Angle basically says that what he did was a mistake, and that he lied about what he said about what Rousey said to. I'm sorry, what Stephanie said about Rousey the night before, and that he is getting over the flu, and that he wasn't sure what he was saying, and he doesn't even remember what it was that he said. Um, so he basically says, things. He doesn't. They don't really give an explanation why he lied, but they basically explained that he lied. That he lied about what he said the night before. So then Triple H and Stephanie say, yes, we're very happy to have you here in WWE and everything like that. And Triple H and Stephanie go to leave the ring. And Rousey says, well, Steph, um, that doesn't clear everything up. There's still the slap. And we need to address that. And Stephanie gets face to face with the Rousey and says, I'm sorry I slapped you. And probably the most non-believable apology that you could possibly get from Stephanie McMahon. And then she says, that's great. I'm glad because if you hadn't apologized, I would have ripped the arm out of your socket. So yeah, so then we have the fake apology from Steph. Then, right before Triple H and Stephanie are about to leave the ring, Triple H turns around and cheap shots Angle, and Angle goes down. And I don't know why. I don't understand why. I don't get why Triple H just socked Angle out of nowhere. But then we have Triple H and Stephanie going up the ramp, and Rousey checking on Kurt, and that is how Raw went off the air. Yeah, I obviously, tune in next week to see what happens, as they said during the Attitude Era. But yeah, it didn't make any sense for me that Triple H just out of nowhere would just turn around and deck Angle. It looked weird. It was just out of nowhere, no pun intended. Yeah, it was just not a good way to end Raw. Um, they never really explained why he laid out Angle. So I guess we will find out though. But overall, I felt like this was a pretty decent Raw. And again, you definitely get that vibe of WrestleMania. That WrestleMania season is upon us. And now both brands are leading into WrestleMania, and we'll see what SmackDown does with Fastlane and with John Cena going to WrestleMania, and how Cena is going to get to WrestleMania. So we will find out. But overall, I felt like this was a pretty decent Raw. Um, they're definitely pushing the Rousey thing very hard. They're pushing the Cena thing very hard. I feel like they need to figure out what's going on with Finn Balor and The Miz. Um, Bray Wyatt, Matt Hardy, please don't give us that. Obviously, the Cena stuff we have to still figure out, and the women's tag. I'm not sure, not the women's tag, but the women's title match. Because if Alexa Bliss and Asuka are facing off at WrestleMania, then what are they going to do with Nia? Are we going to have Bayley versus Sasha one-on-one at WrestleMania? My guess is yes. And of course, what is the Brock Lesnar situation? Are we going to have a Universal Champion going into WrestleMania? So there are a lot of questions to be asked right now, and I think that's good. I think that's a good thing. That there's a lot of unanswered questions, but at the same time, it's 6 weeks until WrestleMania, so they have to figure all of this stuff out if they haven't yet, or at least reveal it to us over the next 6 weeks. We don't want to be going into WrestleMania not knowing what the full card is. So, we don't want to find out a week or two before what the full card is. So they kind of have to get it together. We'll find out what is going on more on the SmackDown side later on. But yeah, I definitely think that things are interesting, are getting more interesting, of course, now leading into WrestleMania. All right. So that is my review. Please leave in the comments below what you thought. Give us a thumbs up. Follow us on Twitter at I've Got Till 5. Like on Facebook and share. And also join our Facebook group, Wrestling News Live 5. Thanks again for watching. Thanks for listening. My name is Adam. Again, coming up in the future, we have more New Japan pay-per-views, but Nick the Greek. I guess I have to do that bet thing, huh? Yeah, not looking forward to that. Not looking forward to that. I'm a little bit nervous. Don't really know what Nick the Greek is going to pick. So I'm a little bit nervous about that. And also more retro reviews with Battle JR. And also, I have a couple of top 10s coming up. One of them being, as I mentioned at the top of the show, the top 10 non-WWE workers. So all that and more coming up. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Please make sure to subscribe, and we will see you next time.